welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of the Airfix de Havilland Vixen FAW2. On part 1 I built the cockpit, as you can see here. Just went through it as a main part of the video. In part 2 I'll be placing the cockpit into the fuselage and the air brakes and making a start on the engines. So first of all, I'm taking my scribe just to redo some of the panel lines. The panel lines are quite good, but I thought I'd make them a little bit deeper, so it's just a gentle scribe over them. To begin with, I'm placing in one of the windows into the fuselage. Now, this can't be done afterwards, so it has to go in now. I don't like it when the construction happens like that, but it needs must, it has to be done. So you can either pre-paint the fuselage or you can mask. So I'm just putting a bit of masking tape on here, and this is Tamiya's 6mm masking tape. So I'm just placing it on the window. I'm joining it up to the fuselage before trimming it off in the bottom. It's a bit of an experiment really. I thought it'd be better to try and mask it this way before I marry up the two fuselages together and before I'm ready to paint. Just think it'll be easier to put it on. So time will tell on that one. Before I put the cockpit in, I have to paint the rim. So it's a 43 medium grey by Revell Aquacolor, and I'm just painting around the edge here with the inside colour because it will be easier painting now than once the cockpit's in, and then having to paint and trying not to touch the actual cockpit wall itself. Now the canopy slips in quite easily. There's two location points, two main points where it just fits into. You can also line up the instrument panel to the fuselage at the top there, which helps with the fitting. Onto the lower section of the fuselage, and again like the cockpit, I'm painting in Revell Aquacolor 43 medium grey around the openings. Onto the air brake, and it has two little fins that have to be placed on before they can be attached. The location points of these are very thin and quite difficult to see, so you may want to take your scribe and just rescore them as well before you attach. If you're having the air brake open, you have to paint the interior part. So this was pre-painted in Revell Aquacolor 43 medium grey, and then I used Tamiya's Weather Master System C, and I used the gunmetal component of that to highlight the ridges inside the compartment, just by using my brush sharpener. So going back to the main fuselage, there's a little flap thing that you put in the front landing gear bay, and this allows movement, so you don't have to cement it in position if you don't want to. There's two location points on either side of the part, and it just rests in it. The landing gear bay compartment, this is getting painted in Revell Aquacolor 76 light grey, so a different shade from the other one, and why that is I'm not sure, but the air brake's a darker colour. Back to the sprue, and I'm painting the piston that holds the air brake open, so I'm using Revell Aquacolor 43 medium grey once more, then going on to Revell Aquacolor 90 silver. In this case there's two options for the air brake and other parts as well for positioning. Now in the instructions it states if you want it fully opened but have the wheels down, the model won't sit on its wheels, so you can either have it semi-opened or closed. But you can also have a third option with it fully opened if you rest the model on a stand. So that's the decision I took. Because of the level of the detail, I think it'd be a shame not to do that. So getting back to the air brake, first of all is I'm just putting on the cover. Now I'm not gluing this in position, I'm just making sure that it fits before I put the inner compartment on. But this is also another part you can have free moving if you wish. There's two canisters that go into this compartment, and they're getting painted in 06 NATO Olive by Revel Aquacolor, and they just fit on two little cradles inside the compartment, and once they're on they can just fit on top there. It will hold the cover into position as well, so you, as I said, you can have it free moving if you wish. I already fitted the piston in the compartment. Now I'm just manoeuvring it onto the actual cover to get into position. Then I place a little bit of cement on there once I get it into position to hold it secure. I found it easier doing it this way, but you can put it on afterwards if you wish. But I found this way was easier to get the air brake cover into position. And because I'm using the stand, I have to make the hole for it. There is a thinner part on the kit for the stand, so I'm just taking my knife and scoring it down the edge of this area to pop out the hole. You don't want a sharp blade for this. The sharper the better. You don't want to be constantly running your knife over and trying to cut into the plastic. Once it's cut out, just run your blade over the frontal bit there to get rid of any burrs. And now I can put in the front landing gear bay. This just fits in two little reset points at the front and the bottom of the unit. It should fit in fairly easy. Just make sure you've got it lined up on the other side before you're happy with it. Sometimes these things can tend to slip, so just be careful. So moving on to the catapult hook, and there's a couple of processes here. First of all, I'm painting it in Revel Aquacolor 43 medium grey, and this is the cover for it. For the hook itself, the top part's getting painted in Tamiya's XF56 metallic grey, and it's just the top mechanism is getting painted in this colour. The rest is getting painted in Revel Aquacolor 90 silver. So like the piston for the air brake, this hook has the same option for the different angles. As you can see on the instruction there, the part 25B is if you're having it up on the stand. If you're having it just on the wheels, then you would have to use 25B for the lesser angle. The reason why I'm pointing this out is quite important if you're just having it wheels down and sitting on a base of some sort. The hook itself just fits onto the cover part. Then there's a small little bracket that goes over the hook and the cover just to hold it into place. This is a tiny part. Mine's broke, so just be careful with it. Onto the rotating blades of the engine now, and I'm using Revel Aquacolor 99 aluminium. Now it's up to you if you want to paint this part. You can't really see it, but you may get glimpses of it. So for me it's worth painting, and it's the same colour again for the exhaust ports here. Initially just painting on the inside first of all. Time to put on the hook. This is a little bit tricky because of the size of and the shape that goes in. So you have to like turn it on its side to put it in, then twist it around once it's inside to fit the location points, which are right at the back, and there's two little bars that just fits in there. Then once it was in position, just a little bit of cement to hold it there. Next assembly is the engine parts. Now to make the engine cases, they looked a bit warped to me. They didn't sit on properly, as you can see there, so they needed a couple of clips to hold them together. However, I did make a slight mistake here. I should have pre-painted the inside of these, but I did forget. So as you can see here, the other side is sticking up, so you do need a few clips to hold it into position. Then next to go on was the end caps, and they just fitted on without any problems. And the reason why I fitted them now instead of waiting until the clips came off is I wanted to ensure that they were going to stay in position, and also putting the caps on does help with that. Next to go on are the vents or struts for the air intake. Now these can only go in a certain way, so if it looks like they don't fit, just move them around until you get them in position. Dry fit them beforehand, so that you know exactly where they're going. So onto the rear of the main engine, these two tubes just fit in to the rotating blades. Again, I didn't paint the inside, but this time it didn't matter because you wouldn't see the inside anyway. Before moving on to the exhaust housing, there's a little bit you have to put on, a little triangular shaped part just to finish it off. You do that before you marry up the two pieces. I found it a little bit tight to get these on, but I did get them on. Yeah, a little persuasion. Now, you don't really have to paint the outside of this, but I wasn't sure, so I painted it anyway. After I realised I hadn't painted the inside of the air intakes, I thought, well, I'll just do it to make sure. But then I moved on to the exhaust port housing, and that's getting painted in Revit Color 99 aluminium. And the reason why I use aluminium instead of the steel colour is this works better when it comes to weathering. You also have to cut some holes in for the weapons pylons. Now, depending on which variant you're doing is which holes that you're going to make. There's 4 in total, I think. The two that are on the very end of the bottom half of the fuselage, be careful of them because they're right next to the actual wall, and you don't want to cut into that. Onto the main landing gear base, and I'm painting this in Revit Aquacolor 76 light grey. I originally painted these in the number 43 medium grey colour when I was painting them on the sprue, but I realised that these ones should have been the lighter colour. Next to be painted is the housing for the catapult hook, and this part just is for the top of it, so the inside needs to be painted. Back to the air intake, so I'm painting these in 99 aluminium, and I'm having to push my brush through here to paint the inside. It's not an ideal way to do it, and you can generally ruin a brush while doing this, but it needs must, I suppose. To fit the air intake, so it can be a little bit tricky. There's 2 little location points within the fuselage that the air intakes sit on, and they can be difficult to line up. Then on the other side, the actual fuselage doesn't quite meet the vents, so you may need a couple of clamps just to hold them down into position. Like the air brake housing, I'm using Tamiya's Weathering Master C and the gunmetal component to highlight the ridges on here. So the same technique, I'm using my brush sharpener to go over any raised areas within the unit, and just highlighting it as I go along. I find this is easier than trying to paint them with a brush. Now it's time to put in the housing for the catapult, and that just sits on top of the catapult mechanism. It looks like it doesn't fit, but it does fit. If you flip it over, you'll find that there's no any gaps or things like that. So next is to go into the engines, and that goes over the top of the housing of the catapult and just clicks into place. You shouldn't have much difficulty with this. Remember, as I mentioned, I always try to put it on there without putting any cement on. That's why I'm showing you. It just amused me. So it just pops in. You shouldn't have any drama. So the last to go in is the landing gear base, and these just fit in between the recess points on the inside. This is going to bring part 2 to a close, I think. It's a good place to stop once these 2 units are on. It was quite a good process. A little bit tricky in areas with the catapult and the air brake, but once I got my head around them, it was quite straightforward. So look out for part 3. Check out any other videos on my channel as well. Throw me a like and subscribe to my channel if you can. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.